America. The name conjures images of freedom, prosperity, and the ability to attain any dream, no matter how fantastic it may seem. Throughout America's history, people from every country on earth have struggled, striven, and died for the opportunity to set foot on her blessed shores. Immigrants from Europe, Asia, and everywhere in between saw America's freedom, saw the endless bounty, and were willing to abandon all that was familiar, risking everything on a promise of a better life. But how did America obtain this much desired, much sought after freedom? How has the yoke of tyranny been shaken off, this yoke that burdens so many other nations? The answer lies within the hearts of our bravest of citizens, those able to recognize the wonderful uniqueness of this land. The answer lies within those singular individuals willing to shed their life's blood to preserve the liberty of their families, the liberty of their country. The answer lies within our American soldier. Early American patriot Samuel Adams said, "The liberties of our country, the freedoms of our civil constitution, are worth defending at all hazards." The outnumbered Minutemen and the underestimated militia of his generation exemplified this belief. They stood against seemingly insurmountable odds and prevailed against a mighty military force. Those ordinary farmers and merchants, blacksmiths and traders, defeated a professional army from a country whose empire was so vast it never saw the setting sun. And even during the midst of the conflict, when the outcome looked bleakest, the patriots continued to fight relentlessly for what they knew was just. Thus, the American soldier was born. The War of 1812, the American Civil War, the Spanish-American War. These are some of the battles America participated in during the 19th century, but no era in America's past has observed as much global conflict as the 20th century. The 20th century witnessed the rise of some of history's cruelest dictators, harshest regimes, and bloodthirstiest governments. Although these wars involved different empires in various areas of the world, the nations who were cornered by ruthless enemies had one thing in common. They all looked to America for deliverance. Although America did not seek these global wars, her citizens were obliged to throw off the trappings of peace and defend liberty. When the United States entered World War I in 1917, President Woodrow Wilson said, "It is a fearful thing to lead this great, peaceful people into war, but the world must be made safe for democracy." These struggles for democracy have been horrifying conflicts that required every ounce of courage resting in our American soldiers. Soldiers from World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Gulf War, and the current war on terror have made inestimable sacrifices for America's safety and continuing freedom. Although the soldiers in these wars were deployed in a myriad locations and theaters throughout the world, and met America's enemies on the field of battle in different decades, their goal in fighting was the same: to defend the democracy that our founding leaders constructed, at the sacrifice of their very lives if necessary. Just as Revolutionary War soldiers left their home to fight for the ideal that all people deserve to live in freedom, American soldiers of modern wars have left wives, husbands, daughters, and sons so that America's liberties will remain as a blaze of hope burning brilliantly for the entire human race to see and aspire to. President John F. Kennedy said, "Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival and success of liberty." From the Revolutionary War to the War on Terror and every year, decade, and century in between, America's courageous warriors have repeatedly demonstrated to the nation and the world that this ideal lies in the spirit and mind of all American soldiers. We honor each and every American patriot who has taken on the burden of war, so that freedom, that most noble of states, may not perish but continue to burn brightly.